noises. Good old noises. Hey, BK. I just gotta wait for people to come in. While I'm at it, I'm checking my email's junk mail folder. Nothing. Nothing there, just junk. Just spam and shit I don't need. Fucking job postings. Because I looked for a job a year ago. Hey, Pandy. So the site I went on, or one of the sites, a couple of sites that I searched for jobs on. Hey, Big Turks. A couple of jobs I searched for jobs on. Just will not leave me alone. And I just never get around to just hitting unsubscribe. That's all I need to do is just click unsubscribe, and I never do it. Even that's just too much effort for me just to... I don't even want to open it long enough to click unsubscribe. Hey, Waffles. What am I doing? Same old, same old. You? Just remembered I want to look something up real quick. Just wanted to look up the hours for Staples. I really need to stop off at Staples one of these days. Like my laptop is, or not my laptop, but my keyboard is getting worse and worse all the time. So I need to get I did not get a haircut now. But I need to stop off at Staples to replace my keyboard. Might not get a new headset. Might get a new headset as well. Hey, Scapegoat. using my keyboard for a while now. Yeah, there's a few, like, it's kind of few problems. So, problem number one, kind of a lot of the keys are just sort of worn off. So, like, yeah, like a lot of just a lot of the keys have been worn off. It doesn't normally cause any problems. Like usually I can still I know where the keys are. Hey Elmer. Usually I can still I know where the keys are, but sometimes my fingers go to the wrong spot. Can't do it. Like, and normally like that's not usually a problem, but sometimes my fingers do go to the wrong spot. Like because I can't because the things aren't there, my fingers do occasionally go to the wrong spot. So there's that. Replacement cuts. Probably. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Beyond that, the backspace. I've started the backspace for a while has been. It's actually been pretty consistent lately, but sometimes I'll just I'll hit the backspace and it doesn't do anything. I'll hit it a few times and it doesn't do anything. I almost need to figure out the right angle to hit it at once in a while. It's actually been pretty consistent lately. It's actually for the past couple of weeks. I haven't noticed any problems with it. What I have noticed is problems with the H key. The H key doesn't always work properly anymore. And I think I also need to replace my headset. A couple nights ago. Keyboards are cheap. Oh yeah, keyboards are cheap. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, they are very cheap. Yeah, a couple days ago, I used my headset for work. Called to make a call at work to call a customer. Had to call a customer, and so afterwards, looks expensive. No, this was actually very cheap. This is actually a really cheap. These were cheap. These were just about the cheapest ones at the store that I got them at when I got them. And I did get them a while ago. I got them, would have been 2020, maybe 2020, 2021. But what happened is I finished the call, unplugged my headset, and was taking it off and slipped it in my fingers, and it must have just landed wrong because now the right earpiece wires must have Razor brand can be very expensive. As I recall, these were not expensive at all. Yeah, they must have just landed wrong. They must have landed wrong and just wire got knocked out of place inside or something. Because there's no audio on this one now. Not the first time I've dropped them. Had them for a while. Yeah, and I've dropped them a few times. I'm I don't know. I don't normally drop things, but for some reason, that fucking headset I've dropped more than I drop most things. I don't know what it is. Doesn't your work provide that equipment? No, they don't. Paid over $100 for my pink Razer cat ear headset. Seen the price of laptops lately? I have not seen the price of laptops. Cat ear headset. I mean, cat ear headset. I mean, that's sort of like a specialty thing, so I can get that being more expensive. I believe that ear headset, maybe $30. Like probably only like $30 or $40 for that particular headset. I am probably gonna get like a better. I'm gonna try to get like a good quality one. Ended up being just clip-ons. Oh, no, last one. No, over 3,000. 3K. Jeez. No, I down under there expensive. Yeah. I don't know. It was a while ago that I got them. I could be wrong about how much they cost. You know, maybe they cost more than I recall. But hey, Donut Predator. But as I recall, they were not particularly expensive. But cat ear headphones. Hmm. Nah. Nah, I don't think I'll get cat ear headphones. Vaguely tempting, but Canadian money is more than Aussie money. I don't know. I don't think there's that much difference. I don't know if there's actually that much difference between it. I mean it. I really don't know. Like you know, what am I, a fucking bank? Could have been cheap. One year I got a Razer keyboard, mouse, and mouse pad on clearance for $50. Yeah, it's not a bad keyboard and mouse. Yeah, that's not bad. I saw Nimona is on YouTube. The movie Nimona, animated movie. I did a review of it on my channel, I don't know, a while back. Christmas gift set, so it's got clearance end of season. Neat. Always nice when you get a deal. Always nice when you get a sale. When you find a sale. Yeah. Nimona. If you haven't watched it, you should. It's on YouTube now, free, I think, and it's fucking amazing. It's a full movie, free, on YouTube. Did see Wish looked good? Wish. Nimona. Stream service. Uh, I think I might have another month of Crave, but the main streaming, honestly, the main streaming service I have now is Paramount Plus because I like Star Trek. Like I'm subscribed to Paramount Plus solely to watch Star Trek. Still making my way back through Deep Space Nine right now. I'm on the 6th season of Deep Space Nine. Yeah, I wish. Like the ways that I saw people describe Wish is that it kind of looked like the Wish version of a Disney movie. Like it, it seemed to be like what I read about it is basically that that it was trying too hard to be a Disney movie. There were certain looks AI generated. Some of it, yeah, like certain aspects of it seemed like AI. Like it wasn't. There was no AI. Like it wasn't AI generated, obviously, but almost had that same. That fair amount, but I don't think I'm supposed to. Got 2 months free, 1 point to cancel. That ran out a month ago. Yeah. Hey, whatever works, Bandy. So yeah, it's the stuff I read about, like I saw people who do enjoy Disney who just looked at Wish as it's not as being not what it could be, as being as trying too hard in some ways and certain character designs. Hey, Capone. Some of the design work needed another pass. The story was sort of a little bit try hard. I don't know. I did not see any excitement. $1, $1 Australian, 88 cents Canadian. So pretty close. So yeah, your dollar is worth more than the Canadian dollar then. So Disney movies from the 90s. I mean, yeah, late 80s into the 90s. Yeah, I mean, that was the Disney Renaissance. They just came out with a whole lot of bangers in a very short time. I mean, it's not that Disney doesn't make good movies now. I think when I think what happened is Disney was going through a rough patch in the 80s. Um, like financially. So they sort of took they sort of had both a back to basics attitude and a we have to take chances attitude at the same time. So, they were willing to sort of they fell back on what made Disney popular in the first place while also I don't know. Yeah, I mean they just sort of and I mean I think a lot of part of it as well. They kind of got lucky. Like they got lucky. They fell, they just got they found the right scripts, the right directors, the right casts. They just it's just they got really lucky with everything falling into place for multiple movies in a row. And that sort of luck doesn't really last. And that success, they sort of they sort of rested a little bit on their laurels. They started to rest on their laurels a little bit. But I mean, even after that, when did Brave come out? That was Brave was really good. Do I like Pixar? I mean, I've never, the only Pixar movies I watched the original Toy Story when it came out. So I watched the first Toy Story movie in theaters. And, I was a kid. I loved it because I was the right age to love it. Then I did watch Wall-E on streaming. Netflix, I guess, probably. It was okay. Other than that, I just haven't really watched any Pixar. One big issue with Disney right now, those live action remakes they've been doing, they fuck over the original screenwriters. Like they'll take one of their classic animated films. They'll take Aladdin. They'll take Beauty and the Beast. They'll adapt basically the entirety of the original script, damn near word for word. A few minor changes here and there, maybe throw in a new song, maybe change a few lines in a few scenes, but damn near word for word the original script. The person who doesn't and the person who originally wrote that script doesn't even get a fucking ticket to the remake. Do you know so much about Disney? Hey, Loner. I mean, I wouldn't say I know a lot about Disney, but I mean, I see people talk about this shit. To watch Madam Web, it's horrible. So far, it's been panned as the worst Marvel movie yet. I mean, I wasn't going to watch it to begin with. Even though it's Sony and not Disney, I wasn't really intending to watch it in the first place. Um, I have seen that like just nobody has anything positive to say about it. The absolute 100% consensus is that it is legitimately a terrible movie with absolutely nothing, where absolutely nothing went right. Like nothing about that movie, about the entire movie, was actually done well. It's, um, like you read the reviews and it's like, man, it sounds like it's almost impressive just how bad it is. The only issue I am seeing disputed, like I am seeing sort of, I'm seeing differing reports on whether it's entertainingly bad. There are some people who find it so bad that it's entertaining, and other people who think that it's so bad that it's boring, which is a hard line to walk. Like it's, and like that you don't often see that where there's so much uh, different opinion on whether it's so bad it's fun or so bad it's boring. You know, Cats, the movie, was an absolute disaster, but it was a movie that was so bad that it was enjoyable. Like it was entertainingly bad. How about Mandalorian? What about Mandalorian? I watched the first season of The Mandalorian. Did I watch the second season? Did Luke Skywalker show up in the first or second season of The Mandalorian? He never shows up. Well, no, there was an episode of The Mandalorian that had Luke Skywalker. Shit show and jumbled mess halfway through. Half the theater got up and left. They stayed till the end because I paid $15 to do. Sunk cost fallacy. Young Skywalker and CJ. Well, yeah, but it's still Luke Skywalker. But yeah, was that the first season or second season? That was the second season, right? End of first season? Was it the end of the first? Huh. Well, then I guess I only watched the first season of The Mandalorian. Then, like, the first episode of Book of Boba Fett. And I haven't seen any Star Wars shit since then. Deadpool 3. Funniest and best part of the movie was at the end, some guy yelled, "You fucking suck, Disney." It's not even fucking Disney, it's Sony! Like, I'm not even defending Disney here. Get mad at the right company. It's a Sony product, not a Marvel product. Like, it's not even like the Spider-Man movies where it was like a joint thing. Marvel Studios and Sony working together. Like, it's just Sony made Madam Web. The character is based on a Marvel character, but Marvel and Disney had absolutely no input in the movie. Like, it's like Disney had no involvement at all in Madam Web. One of the most common complaints I've seen about Madam Web, there's a spider in your room, do you squash it or catch it? I squash it. I just kill it. Yeah, one complaint I saw about Madam Web is that none of the Spider Girls actually put on their costumes. Like, at no point do we actually, like, aside from like a few seconds. Like, there's a few seconds showing them in the future in their costumes, and that's it. Sort of a blink and you miss it thing. And that's a shame. Especially because apparently Sydney Sweeney was mentioning that she was reading some of the comics that her character, Julia Carpenter, because I think in the comic, I think they gave her character a different name in the movie, but in the comics, Julia Carpenter. Sydney Sweeney was talking about like reading some of the comics that she was in, and sort of her having sort of almost like a ballet style, and like that she had pushed, like she fought for a scene where her character sort of hangs from the ceiling, and then that scene didn't even make it in. So I especially hope that Sydney Sweeney gets to play that character going forward. Who's my favorite band? My favorite band is the Heartless Bastards. They're familiar with Madame Web comics. I mean, it's a very different character in the comics. But yeah, like Sydney Sweeney seemed to like. She did seem to be like really into the idea of playing the superhero version of her character. So, like, for her sake, I hope that she does get that chance, because she does seem to be like really into that idea, and like she wanted to do something with the character. And I like when people who fight for their characters get to play them. I'll always be a little disappointed that that one guy, I'm totally blanking on his name, but the guy who wanted to do a Gambit movie, Channing Tatum. I'm always going to be a little disappointed that Channing Tatum never got to get his Gambit movie made. It wouldn't have been a good movie, but I'm disappointed for him, you know? If I was in a horror movie, what role would I play? I don't know. An extra, I hope. Hopefully just like some background extra who's completely uninvolved in anything that's going on. Ryan Reynolds did an amazing job trying to get Deadpool got done right. Exactly, yeah. Like that's like the sort of the big example is Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool putting together a reel just to show off just to show the studio and be like, this is the character, this is the movie. Would I ever play an extra in a film? Yeah, sure. Why not? What do I care? Ryan Reynolds is the best in all his movies. I have seen people argue that Ryan Reynolds is sort of the same in all his movies. Yeah, like that he's just always kind of playing Ryan Reynolds. Drinking coffee dramatically. I don't actually drink coffee. And I don't really do anything dramatically. The guy from Friday Night Lights did good playing Gambit in the first Wolverine movie. I mean, he did okay. Nothing about Wolverine Origins can ever be described as good. Ryan Reynolds movie. I mean, I guess Deadpool. Yeah, I don't think there's anything about that Wolverine Origins that can be honestly described as good. The tie-in game, apparently, actually. I've heard good things about the Wolverine tie-in video game, of all things. You want to be friends with everyone? What I ate for dinner tonight? I took a nap. Chat's empty tonight. Yeah, it's empty most nights. Sleep for dinner. Yep. Got to see more of Sabretooth and acknowledged him and Wolverine were related to each other. What's interesting is in the comics, they're not. In the comics, it was very, very, very briefly implied that Sabretooth was Wolverine's father. How briefly was it implied? There was an issue that came out like a couple months, like it might have been the same month or like the following month or something. That was like, nope, not related at all. Completely and totally not blood related. Who's the actor who plays Wolverine? Hugh Jackman, who is actually from Australia. What do I think of Vegas? I've never been there. What's my opinion of Vegas? I've never been there, so I don't have an opinion. I do think that when Marvel starts making the X-Men movies, like once they introduce the X-Men into the MCU, they need a short actor. They need a short king to play Wolverine. Because in the comics, he's a runt. He's 5'3" in the comics. He is a runt. Like that's sort of a big point of the character, and particularly his relationship with Sabretooth, is that he's a runt. He's short. He's small, hairy, and absolutely vicious. Yeah, like he's small, but he's vicious. That's the whole thing. Like a Wolverine. So yeah, I want them to get somebody short. One of the funniest stories about when Hugh Jackman was cast as Wolverine, he apparently did a whole bunch of research into wolves. He didn't realize that a wolverine was an actual animal. He thought it was just connected to wolves. So he did a bunch of research into wolves, and then when he showed up on set the first day, yeah, he had sort of like based sort of a lot of his mannerisms on wolves. So he was acting all wolf-like, and director's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Well, wolf." But Wolverine is not a wolf, right? Brought X-Men to the MCU. I mean, I've heard about that scene. What I read indicated that it's not that they brought the X-Men into the MCU, it's that like it's multiverse shit. So it's like character went into like one character passed from the Marvel universe into the X-Men universe. Or like from the Marvel Cinematic Universe to the X-Men Cinematic Universe. It's Monica, right? It's Monica who crossed over, right? Right, because yeah, that scene had her. was like an ultimate was an ultimate version of her as binary. Next one cartooned and his claws come out of his gloves. Shove close timer if you got trapped there. Um, I mean the '90s. I don't know, maybe Pride of the X-Men, that pilot, that X-Men pilot show, where Wolverine was Australian inexplicably. I don't know if that one had his claws come out of his gloves, but in the '90s animated series, no, they came out of his hand, just like in the comics. First movie I remember watching, I don't know. I don't know what the earliest movie I remember watching would be. Possibly Fantasia. The new Fantasia. I didn't watch it. I only watched the original. I watched the original Fantasia. I didn't watch any other Fantasia. Do you mean Fantasia 2000? Or was there another one after that one since then? Because I know there was like one like Fantasia 2000, but I mean that's calling that one new. You know, that was 24 years ago. You can't call that new. Love that movie. I enjoyed it too. The hippos and crocodiles were always sort of the one that I was the segment that I always remembered, and obviously the broomsticks. Yeah, I never watched Fantasia 2000. What about the space whales from the X-Men? The X-Men have space whales. First movie I remember ever watching was The Goonies. I never watched that one. Yeah, the X-Men have space whales called the Akanti. Storm briefly became one because comic books are weird. Hey, non sequitur. Late night shoot the shit. Yep, pretty much. Yeah, we're talking about movies right now. Good night, Maricela. recommend me a good one. Nimona. If you haven't watched Nimona yet, it is currently free on YouTube. And it is really good. So if you never watched it on Netflix, it is currently free to watch on YouTube. Anime? It is animated. It's an animated movie. Exceptionally queer. And like hilarious, adorable, and then heart-wrenching. Thanks, Loner. Yeah, it's like it's one of those movies that like most of it's like just really fun and silly and whimsical and like yay, this is a happy movie. And then it hits a point where it's like, oh, and now it's going to make me want to cry. Okay. So that's what you're doing. So that's what you're laying down here is fill my heart and then try to rip it out. Okay, sure. Just got around to watching Guardians 3. I have heard good things. But I am deeply uncomfortable with Disney as a corporation. So I made the decision to stop giving Disney any of my money. Lego? No, not since I was a kid. I played with Lego a little bit when I was a kid, but not since then. Obscure cult-like sci-fi time travel stuff. Well, I don't really have anything else to. I don't really have anything to recommend then. How do you feel about me dating? Hey, Violet. How do I feel about dating? Honestly, it's not something I'm really interested in right now. Safety not guaranteed. I don't think so. Don't believe that I ever watched that one. I heard about it. Pretty sure I never watched it. That one came out. If it's, I believe that one came out when I was a kid. Which the newest X-Men movies would have acknowledged. Oh, that I'm thinking of a different. I'm thinking of something completely different. I might have been thinking of Batteries Not Included. I thought I was thinking. Anyway, what's funny, Donut Predator? So first of all, nobody ever liked Azazel. Nobody liked Azazel. He was a shitty character. Nobody ever fucking liked that character. But what's funny is in the comics, I think they just recently retconned it. So that basically, Mystique used Azazel's DNA to get Destiny pregnant. So Mystique is Nightcrawler's father. Which is neat. Still uses that loser Azazel's DNA and shit, but comics are... Oh no, the comic version. The movie version of him was okay. The movie version of him was, he was a cool special effect. The comic version? Fuck no. Nobody liked the comic book version. Terrible character from a terrible storyline by a terrible writer. And then, like, Jason Aaron later tried to redeem the character, but ugh, shouldn't have bothered. Yeah, the comic version of that character, fucking terrible. Top X-Men movie? Logan, followed by, hey, Delbell. I would say Logan, followed by Deadpool, then The Wolverine, then Deadpool 2, and then New Mutants. Hot take. Like, absolute hot take. I would rank New Mutants above any of the other X-Men team movies. The two Wolverine movies and the two Deadpool movies. They sort of stand on their own. They're great. But of the sort of team movies, the like ensemble cast movie, like of the ensemble movies, yeah, I would genuinely rate New Mutant higher than any of them. Hey, Franks. Because much as it fell short in a lot of ways, it swung big in ways that the other ones did not. I have issues with some of the casting choices. They lightwashed two characters. Sunspot in the comics is Afro-Brazilian. He's mixed race. Like, he's black. In the movies, he's black. or in the comics, I mean. In the comics, he's black. He's got a white mother and a Afro-Brazilian father. He's not Latino. He's black. The movies made him Latino. The other character, Cecilia Reyes. Again, in the comics, she's black Puerto Rican, black and Puerto Rican. Hey, Rara. Well, the movie just went. She's Hispanic, or she's Latina. Both characters just had their black heritage completely removed. So I disagreed with with those casting choices. That said, it's a movie with multiple people of color in major roles. It's sort of like the main character is indigenous, and one of the other main characters is Latino, and there's another major character who is also Latina. Compare that to all of the other X-Men movies where there's Storm. Like the first 3 X-Men movies in terms of people of color, there's Storm. That is all. And then the First Class movies, there's Darwin, the black guy with the power to not die, who dies. There's Angel Salvatore, who joins the villains and then dies off screen. And then after that, there's Storm. That is all. It's like fucking they just don't fucking bother with people of color in any of the X-Men movies. New Mutants had 3 major characters out of 6. New Mutants had 6 characters. 3 of them were people of color. Half the cast was non-white. Fully half the cast of New Mutants was non-white. And then 2 of them were queer. The romance in the movie was a queer romance compared to all of the other X-Men movies, which are the second one did subtext. The second one was like, oh, this is totally queer subtext, and then just fucking never bothered with any text. None of the other X-Men movies, not a single fucking one of them, went ahead and made the subtext text. Venom 3, is that soon? Venom is also Sony. Favorite comic book? My favorite comic book is actually Pretty Deadly by Kelly Sue DeConnick and Emma Rios. And Jordi Belair and Clayton Coles. Oh, is there? Well, the issue is that, at a certain point, your allegory for... At a certain point, if your story is an allegory for marginalized communities, at a certain point, you should probably make an effort to actually include those to include actual marginalized communities. I've ever had was Daredevil as a gift. Cool. Depending on the run, it was probably a pretty good comic. Daredevil's a character who's had a lot of really good runs. A couple of duds in there, but for the most part, a surprisingly strong history. But yeah, so I genuinely give New Mutants props for deciding, hey, you know what? Let's make this shit text. like like the first season, Jessica Jones. First season of Jessica Jones was the strongest of all the Netflix shows. Had issues. It had some pacing issues. So the first season of Jessica Jones had pacing problems, but I still say that it was the strongest of all of the Netflix shows. That first season of Jessica Jones, because it knew what its themes were, and holy shit, did everything in that show explore those themes of power and control. Like, like it had the theme. It said, here is what this show is about. Here's what the show is about. It is about power and control. And everything, every subplot, every character arc, everything went into exploring those themes of power and control. And man, holy shit, was it ever, you know? Plus, a lot of phenomenal performances. So yeah, like I said, I mean, pacing issues, but god damn, did it ever stick to the themes in a way that none of the other Netflix shows managed to. And that's not even a criticism of the other Netflix shows necessarily. It's just it did such a fantastic job with it. The first season of Daredevil was also great. The second season was half great, half okay. Um, Sort of the same issue with Luke Cage. First half of Luke Cage, great. Second half of that season, ugh. Season 2 of Jessica Jones floundered. It didn't. It felt like it didn't know what it was trying to say to the same extent. It didn't really have that same cohesive thematic connection, that same thematic cohesion throughout it, holding it all together. Hated the Daredevil movie, but loved the TV series. You can get into Luke Cage show. I mean, I like Luke. I will say, my favorite description of Luke Cage was a very aggressive walking tour of Harlem. It's just like that was hilarious and like, yeah, not entirely inaccurate. Not entirely inaccurate. Very aggressive walking tour of Harlem. Yeah, it kind of was at times. It absolutely got into that at times. And yeah, like when the show was about Harlem, it was really strong. But then once that dude showed up with the special bullets, thanks, JD. Like that just threw the whole thing off. Anyway, I'm gonna call it an evening for now. Odds are good I probably won't come on tomorrow. I'll probably decide to sleep in tomorrow. So I'll be back Wednesday. So see you all on Wednesday night. So thanks for coming and good night for now.